Sup guys, and welcome to Doctor Who Discussions. My name is Charlie.
And my designation is Russell.
You are funnier than me.
I know.
We are talking about the Doctor Falls today.
I forgot. I've run out of lines to say in the Cyberman voice.
That's pathetic.
Yeah.
Yes, it is. Anyway.
Oh, it's so good.
We can't stop crying.
Honestly, I genuinely teared up during this episode.
We both genuinely tear up.
And I've really been looking forward to this. It's taken us a year and a half to get to this point, and I've really been looking forward to it.
I'm gonna say it. I know you disagree, but I think this is the best New Who finale we've had.
This is blasphemy. This is madness.
I mean, I do disagree, but I don't disagree that much. Like it's up there. It's up there, guys.
Like, for a while I was debating. Actually, to be honest, I think we said last time that World Enough in Time is better than The Doctor Falls, but having just rewatched it, I think I'm actually inclined to disagree. I'd say they're pretty on par with each other.
Yeah, I think because the two parts have two very different styles of story.
Absolutely. World Enough in Time is very much a horror story, but this is very much more a personal
character sort of piece.
It's devastating.
And it did remind me a lot of it was basically a mishmash of Death in Heaven and Parting of the Ways, really.
But better than either of those.
I mean, it's not hard to be better than Death in Heaven.
Death in Heaven wasn't too bad.
I ended up laughing at it more than anything.
Okay, Dark Water was good, but
Dark Water was great.
But Death in Heaven wasn't really.
Yeah.
Another episode featuring Cybermen. Moffat really likes his Cybermen, doesn't he?
Yeah.
I mean, can you blame him? The Cybermen are awesome.
Yeah, and this is one of those few times in New Who where they really knock it out of the park with the Cybermen, or just Doctor Who in general, because they don't tend to get used to their best ability, I don't feel, most of the time.
Can confirm the Cybermen are awesome and underused to the finest of their ability.
Also, we are allergic to gold for some reason.
Yeah, that didn't come up, but thankfully it didn't.
Yeah.
they didn't use gold to destroy them, they just instead used explosions.
They just blew them up, which, yeah, fair enough.
I mean, yeah. I know we like to prefer to forget that episode, but remember Nightmare in Silver, where the solution to finding Cybermen was just blow up the entire planet they're on. Yeah. That's the only way to get rid of them. I mean, it makes sense, like, the Cybermen are crazy.
Yeah, and they were a really credible threat in this as well.
Of
course, especially with the time dilation idea that was in the last episode.
And that was a beautiful concept.
Yeah.
It actually made a really good way to explain why they couldn't just get in the TARDIS and run away.
Yeah.
By the time they get there, the Cybermen will have figured out how to stop them.
And with each passing second, their numbers grow exponentially.
I mean, they never really explain how they couldn't just stick around and keep blowing them up and eventually they'll run out of Cybermen. But I guess at some point the Cybermen will become so advanced that you can't even do that.
And hell, even then, like, that's a really big if, because you've still got a massive army of Cybermen here. And
True.
You've got shotguns and a few explosives.
But it's telling that, we have two masters in the story. Two masters teaming up, and they're still not the primary threat because the Cybermen are still... I mean, partially the Doctor's fault because he turned them against the masters, but the Cybermen still...
come for them anyway.
No, the Cybermen still take centre stage because they're just even more of a threat than two masters.
Yeah, I think there were only like 2 or 3 lines of dialogue from the Cybermen, and that's including Bill.
And that's all you need.
Yeah, and they were very much a credible threat.
Speaking of, Bill got turned into a Cyberman. I'm honestly not sure why they played the. She doesn't realise she's a Cyberman since she seemed to be fully aware of it at the end of the last episode. But I don't care because it's really tragic and emotional. And it makes me cry, and I love it.
I think it was for me personally. I think it was probably because she was experiencing a bit of emotional trauma. Ironically.
Oh really? I can't imagine why being turned into a Cyberman would be traumatic.
Oh yeah, but I do love like the trick they kept doing throughout the episode. Like whenever Bill. It seemed to be like whenever the Doctor and Nardole or Bill was just on her own, like whenever the Doctor and Nardole were in the room, like they would see Bill as Bill, or Bill would see Bill as Bill, or the Doctor would see Bill as Bill. But whenever the Master was around, he, or somebody who wasn't really that well acquainted with Bill would see her as the Cyberman.
It's like, even though she'd been turned into a Cyberman, so everybody who didn't know or like her very much saw her as just another Cyberman, but everybody who knew her personally still saw her as Bill. And they put that across in the filming, and oh god, it's just so tragic. And Pearl Mackie is so good.
Oh, Pearl was great here. Like,
I almost want to say Pearl Mackie stole the show, but everybody steals the show.
Everybody did great. Like,
what an incredible performance from everybody.
Yeah, like even Nardole got a really good performance out of it. Like Matt Lucas he's been great this entire series, but you know, I felt sad when he left.
That ending with him where, you know, you got to remember which one of us is stronger, and he just gets that one line, damn.
Yeah. And
that just says so much.
Yeah, it does. And
we really have been too harsh on Matt Lucas. We were too harsh on Matt Lucas last year, weren't we?
To be fair, like, it was Matt Lucas doing Matt Lucas things in a Stephen Moffat Christmas special.
But Matt Lucas is he's such a great actor. We know that now.
It's one of those things where like I like seeing comedic actors do more serious. Like obviously Nardole was a comic relief character as well, but you know you did take him seriously quite often.
And I mean, look at, you know, comedic actors being serious. Doctor Who is nothing new. I mean, Sylvester McCoy.
It was his idea to go in a darker direction and all.
Yeah, but like, everybody was so good in this, and even, you know, John. If we have any criticism of this episode, is that John Simm and Michelle Gomez don't get that much to do. But even then, they're so good. This is probably John Simm's best performance.
Yeah, like even though, like I was saying to you while we were watching, like the Master is only here for two reasons. One, to explain to the two people out there who were still wondering how he turned into Missy. Like, okay, you could probably figure it out from watching The End of Time, guys. And so the other reason was to just be a bully. And he's a really good bully.
He's just so good at being horrible to everyone. He's so hateable. Like this is probably his best performance. The problem I'd always had with John Simm as the Master was that he was, I wouldn't say too silly, but he didn't come across as diabolical enough, which is the same problem I had with Michelle Gomez. But they really fixed it in their latest episodes. Like, I mean, yes, they gave him the beard to make him look more like Delgado. Yeah. But he does feel much more like the Master in this episode and not just another crazy person running around screaming and trying to kill the Doctor. He feels much more the Master.
Yeah.
And he's great.
Yeah, he is. And Missy as well. Like I'll admit I didn't quite enjoy her sort of switching sides every so often because they didn't really sort of give her much reason to do that apart from I like being a genocidal maniac, but I also promised the Doctor I'd be good, so that's what it came off as to me. I
mean, Michelle Gomez does make it work because she's great.
Yeah, and when it comes to the end with her redemption, you know what? I buy it. Like I didn't go into this arc thinking like this is not going to happen, but I ended up buying it. Obviously, the next time the Master turns up, they're going to be a villain anyway.
Oh yeah.
But you know, this was a really good ending to like even the Master even says like this is the perfect ending.
But that moment where the Doctor has had his fantastic speech.
Yeah, it surprisingly wasn't over-egged.
It wasn't that great, but it was an amazing speech that just brilliantly handles and talks about why the Doctor is the way he is and how he handles everything. And then John Simm just says, you see this face? This is the face of somebody who didn't listen to a word you just said. You just want to punch him in his stupid round face so much.
Round?
Fight me.
It is a bit. And while we're on the speech, I think what I love the most about it is because it shows 12 how far 12 has come since the early days. Because 12 like the Sixth Doctor, you know, was very, you know, he's very antisocial. He didn't really like people.
I mean, look at his first season, where you know, in Into the Dalek, his the second episode of his first season.
Yeah.
He just casually let somebody die in order to get to the root of the problem.
And he kept doing the same thing in Mummy and the Orient Express.
And he just kind of didn't care. But here he's trying to save absolutely everyone. Yeah. And mostly succeeding. I mean, it's probable that eventually Nardole just blew up the entire ship to stop the Cybermen from getting away, but
it shows how far 12 has come. Like after, because you know, before he'd be letting people die to help solve the problem, but after Mummy on the Orient Express, he sort of tries to make that change so that he tries to save everyone.
And now that he's learned, and even now, in this episode, he's in an absolutely impossible scenario. The Cybermen will keep coming. They will keep making more of themselves. He can't win. But that doesn't mean he's going to give up. He's going to keep going, and he's going to do the best he can, especially if it kills him, which, of course, it does.
And also, one other thing I like as well, because he's still trying, even though, he keeps making these mistakes. What happened with Davros last series, what happened with Clara last series, what happened with Bill last episode. He's still trying to find a way to make things right, and he promises Bill he's going to fix it, and even though it's impossible, but he's trying his damnedest.
And anybody trying to do that, any actor who can pull off that kind of emotional complexity would be impressive enough. But the fact that it's Peter Capaldi, who I'm going to miss him so much.
I still miss him. We're a week away from Series 11, and
well done for telling everybody how late we are in recording these.
Oh, they can't figure that out.
True.
Kept you waiting, huh?
We are hopefully going to get all these out before Series 11 starts.
And also, like as we said, like it's an impossible situation, which is where my Parting of the Ways comparison comes in. But unlike Parting of the Ways, this is very much a very downbeat ending. Like the Doctor loses.
Yeah, the Parting of the Ways.
Everybody loses. Everybody dies.
If there's any, my big criticism of Parting of the Ways was always that they introduced an impossible situation and then Deus Ex Machina them their way out of it.
Yeah, it was a total Deus Ex Machina.
But this, they don't have a Deus Ex Machina, and they didn't want to pull Deus Ex Machina, and there's no way that the Doctor could win without pulling a miracle out of his arse and doing something silly. So what do? They have him lose. Simple as that. They have him lose, and that is such a powerful moment.
Because okay, he blew up those Cybermen, but there's more coming. There's still more coming. Which, by the way, I do like how they actually did it. Like, everything in this episode did make sense. Like, they did explain, like, how Nardole was able to make everything explode. Like, it's all to do with the, the piping and the heating underneath the spaceship, and they're just sparking it into an overload.
And they do explain why they can't just get in the TARDIS and run away, because, as we mentioned earlier, by the time they get there, the Cybermen would have stopped them.
And also how this is sort of a genesis of the Cybermen as opposed to the genesis of the Cybermen, because there have been so many genesis of the Cybermen stories.
Yeah.
And the Doctor does point out, no matter what humanity does, Cybermen are going to crop up everywhere. Telos, Mondas, Earth, Marinus, which is a very obscure Cyberman reference, but it's a good one.
And a very debatable one. We're still not sure if the World Shapers is actually canon or not. I mean, some people, it seems to be indicated that it is, but it doesn't make sense with the whole Vord. It's off topic.
Yeah, but yeah, like it was a very much a downbeat ending because the Doctor dies. Yeah. Bill dies. Admittedly, she's sort of a ghost by the end, but she gets a happy ending. But I
do love the fact that they gave her a girlfriend and they go off to explore the universe. I do understand why a lot of people aren't a fan of Moffat's companions constantly going off and exploring the universe forever, but like
I feel like this one felt justified.
This one was earned.
Unlike Clara's, where it was just sort of handed to her.
Everyone else just kind of gets it given to them.
Clara hasn't really got a reason to keep on living. I mean, and also Bill isn't endangering the universe by her existence.
And I mean, River, I can understand. She kind of earned it semi-posthumously because we saw her earn it before, after we saw her die. But, it was earlier in her timeline. But whatever. And, like, Bill earned it because, for God's sake, she got turned into a Cyberman.
Yeah.
You've got to have something nice after that.
Yeah, and, well, like, my only two criticisms with Bill's ending is, A, Heather should have been a bigger presence throughout the series.
She should.
Because at this point, I'd mostly forgotten about her.
Telling that they put a flashback to who she was in the episode because everybody else was going to be like, wait, who? Yeah. Who was this?
Like, if she turned up in, like, if she either turned up, like you said, like, if she turned up as, like, at the end of episodes, like, sort of watching the Doctor and Bill.
Like they did with Rose in Series 4.
Yeah. Or maybe if they had an episode where, they reintroduced Heather and then they got separated by the end of the story. So they at least established her presence a bit more. And the only other criticism was, like, that one line saying, like, I can turn you back into a human and you can go live on Earth. Like, I know they made, like, a whole backstory out of that in the Twice Upon a Time novelization, but I feel like just having... Essentially what we're seeing is, like, Heather and Bill's ghost. Basically. Like, okay, obviously it's not that, but they're both dead. and they're finally together and they're going off to explore the universe.
Which I liked. I liked that.
So I feel like that's better than just sort of resurrecting Bill.
And especially the fact that it's not the Doctor who fixes it. The Doctor says, I promise I can fix this, but he can't.
He absolutely can't.
No, there's no way back from that.
Again, it's showing, Capaldi's Doctor isn't the strongest, most awesome person in the universe.
But despite that, he tries, and that's why Bill forgives him. You get that line, "I'm still licensed to kick your ass." Well, you'll have to go back to the hospital to find it. Like it's not that she's got a sense of humour about her horrible situation. It's that she's forgiven the Doctor because she knows that there was nothing he could really have done to stop it. I mean, he could, but it wasn't his fault that he didn't.
Yeah, it just sort of spiraled out of control. But yeah, the Kilmore ending. Like I've gotten 2 out of the 5 main characters out there. Like Nardole, he's probably going to die at some point.
Oh yeah.
Like they're pretty like either by blowing up the ship or
all the
Cybermen eventually catch up with him. But it's very clear things aren't going to end well for Nardole.
No.
And of course the Masters killing each other.
They kill each other.
It's telling like the 2 big multi-master stories we had in the last couple of years, because we had like the 2 Masters with Big Finish the year before, which totally wasn't Moffat's inspiration for this, was it?
No, but it was also really good.
Yeah, these were both really good multi-master stories. Although I wish the Masters had more to do in this one.
Oh yeah,
but it's telling that in both of those stories it ends with the Masters kind of trying to stab each other in the back. But I mean, in this case, very literally.
In this one, they literally kill each other. And I mean, come on, they'll be back. Yeah, the Master will be back. You can't put. It's like Moffat said it. No, it was RTD who said at the end of Journey's End. He's not going to be the one to permanently kill off Davros.
Yeah, and he literally said he hasn't got the balls to kill off Davros.
And later he comes back in Magician's Apprentice or Witch's Familiar or whatever, and they don't explain how he got out of the last one, but they just don't care.
I mean, we'd spent like 10 years going, he probably just used like the temporal shift thing.
Probably, yeah. The Master will be back. I mean, back in Planet of Fire, we literally saw him burn to a crisp on screen, and then the next time he was around, he just comes back like, "Hey, it's me."
Even Moffat pointed out, like, when he brought back Missy, it was like, well, back in the 80s, like, you'd see the Master die finally, and then he'll be back 2 weeks later, and his only explanation will be, "I escaped." Which I'll give him credit for. Yeah, that's pretty much how it went down.
Basically.
But even then, like you sort of turned to me when we reached near the end of the episode, like if this had been like the final episode of Doctor Who, like ever,
it would have been a fitting finale.
Yeah, like
both because it's great in terms of like showing development and showing how far these characters have come, and it's got a great series of. It's got a great sense of finality, but also because
honestly, like the last half of this episode, I was really holding back the tears.
It's just so devastating. It's so good and so well written and so well performed and acted and directed. And Rachel Talalay is fantastic. And Stephen Moffat, this is possibly his best script, and everybody is good. And I love this episode so much.
I mean, I wouldn't say it's his best script, but it's definitely what I'd call it would definitely be the perfect way to cap off his era.
Absolutely.
Or Doctor Who in general, because let's face it, everything's been wrapped up now. Yeah. We can't really like Moffat finished his big story arc in Hellbent, but now this series sort of capped off everything.
I mean, we'll get to his final episode next time, but this is pretty much his final series finale. So
this is his swan song.
This is how he wanted to be remembered, and it's a damn good way to remember him.
Yeah, like you could. I was really worried when this episode was announced, though, because it was talking about the genesis of the Cybermen. We got 2 Masters. We got the Doctor dying. We get rid of Bill and Nardole, and I thought we were going to end up with another Time of the Doctor situation where it was trying to do so much but didn't do anything.
But no, it somehow
fit everything
all that in. I mean, as we said, the only criticism we have is that the 2 Masters don't get quite enough to do, but even then, they get quite a bit to do, and we've talked about how perfect their finale and their bits were.
Yeah.
So even if they didn't get that much to do, the stuff they got to do was so good that we don't care.
Like that first 10 minutes where they've got the Doctor strapped to a chair, that's brilliant.
That's just perfect.
I do love like the little duologue they're having while they're sort of circling him, like talking about how many times have you died? Have you ever burned? Have you ever fallen off? I know you've fallen to your death. Like, I do like that, like, both of those are nice little callbacks to the 4th Doctor there.
Oh, yeah. Like,
and also the drowning, that also happened.
Yes. And, like, they're figuring out how to kill him. Like, there's so many ways we could do it, but we don't want to be boring. It's just...
And also,
it's
like,
weird that the Masters have such perfect chemistry. I almost ship them, and then Missy said, "No, don't ship us." And who am I to disobey Missy? She's terrifying.
I mean, she is the mistress.
Yeah.
And I also quite liked with in that same scene, is like he's asking, "Where's Bill?" It's like, well, if we told you that, you'd get really upset.
So we're gonna tell you.
So she's right behind you.
Surprise! It's a Cyberman, and that was when we all started crying.
This is the master I missed. I feel like if Missy was more like that,
we would have loved her a lot more.
Because I keep saying Michelle Gomez was the perfect casting choice for a female master, and recently Big Finish just announced they're doing a box set with her,
which I'm not complaining about because it's great.
I'm gonna wait until the reviews though, because if it's gonna be more of the Missy we've seen on telly, sort of really campy, not sort of anti-hero Missy, as opposed to, like, she's basically been an anti-hero rather than a villain.
Kinda.
But hopefully they do what they did with Jacoby's master and just make her a total, complete, I can't swear, but horrible, horrible, horrible villain. And then I'm definitely going to pick that up.
And they did that with Derek Jacobi, but also there was another major Moffat female character who was kind of an anti-hero who we were lukewarm on with TV, and then Big Finish did a spin-off, and The Diary of River Song is fantastic.
Well, 2 out of the 3 box sets I've listened to. Well, actually, to be fair, my favourite River Song story is from the second one, which is the one I didn't really like.
I've only listened to the first 2, and I liked the first one. I did like the second one, although it got very confusing. And
yeah, what even happened in that one? But yeah, maybe Missy will be great in the Big Finish spin-off. But
I'm sure it will.
Yeah, and because it's always been a scripting thing. Like one of the things I've been saying over the last few years is like the biggest problem with Doctor Who has nothing to do with the actors. They're all perfect.
Oh yes,
it's just how they're written.
Like one of the biggest problems we've always had with both River Song and Missy was that nobody apart from Stephen Moffat ever wrote for them. Like, we may have needed some new ideas, but even now, this is off topic, but even now, Stephen Moffat was writing for Missy, and she was great.
Yeah.
Like, even if we're not that big fans of the idea of the Mistress turning good, like, it was well written enough that I bought it. I totally buy this.
Yeah, when they introduced that whole plot point, I was thinking, there's no way this is gonna work, and it kind of did.
It did somehow. How did Moffat do it?
And I do like, especially with like in the final scene when they're doing the sort of Androzani / Legopolis style regeneration montage of the Doctor remembering his companions, which was that was a little weird, let's admit, because it's like it just goes through all of the new Who companions and specifically all of the female ones, not excluding Jack because Jack was there, but
completely misses off Rory and Wilf.
Completely, and Strax, if they included the rest of the Paternoster gang.
I mean, he barely counts, but
also, like, I do like at the very end of that montage, he just sees a vision of Missy and he just snaps into life. It's like, duh! She just dumped me. I mean, he doesn't know she's dead, but like Missy ended up having such a big effect on the Doctor in the end.
If we had another criticism, is that after that he had that series of previous regeneration lines, which felt a little self-indulgent.
Yeah, like, I don't want to go, and
when the Doctor was me, and like, we get it. We didn't like these lines to start with, but whatever.
Yeah, I'm getting a bit ahead of myself here, but I mean, I had this critique when the episode came out before Twice Upon a Time, was they don't really explain why the Doctor doesn't want to regenerate in this one, because the implication I was getting when I first watched the episode, maybe because he's had such a depressing defeat this time. This is essentially like a lighter version of To the Death from the Big Finish 8th Doctor Adventures, where everybody's dead. The Doctor sort of won the battle but lost the war, and he doesn't really want to go on. That's the implication I got from this, but I don't really elaborate on it any further.
I got the impression in this one that it was more he'd developed so much and he'd become such a better person, but now he was going to lose that all by regenerating and becoming a different person, and he didn't want to do that. But it works anyway, and that's mostly because Peter Capaldi is just such a devastating actor.
Yeah. That's going to be on his gravestone. Peter Capaldi, devastating.
Peter Capaldi, he tore out all our hearts.
And we didn't even mind.
Nope, we loved it.
Yeah. Still, we still have one more episode to go.
I don't think we have that much more to say about this episode, because we've just...
Not a lot really happened plot wise, but
we've just
character wise it really worked.
I mean, most of the reason we don't have much to talk about is because we don't have anything to go into in depth. It's just that everything was just so good and well done.
It just really capped everything off.
We don't have anything to deconstruct because everything was just beautiful.
It was all beautifully constructed, and we don't want to break down that wall.
We don't.
Hell, they even played it's called The Shepherd's Boy, but we call it Breaking the Wall.
Because it's a better title, and it's also, like, the best track that has ever existed in New Who.
Yeah. I can't disagree with that one.
It's beautiful. Everything just comes together so well. And this is...
How do we top it? With David Bradley as the first Doctor.
Of course. Because why wouldn't you? That's just perfect casting right there.
Yeah.
But even, going back to the fact that this is the regeneration story, even if you don't think this is the best finale, this is the best regeneration we've had, even though it's not technically a regeneration. Because, the image of the Doctor lying there, no stars, shame. I'd hoped there would be stars.
And it's nothing but a big ball of fire.
It's just so perfect.
Yeah.
Now I see why the Cybermen did what they did. I can't handle these feelings.
Pain.
It's such a great episode.
Yeah.
I can't handle these feelings, but I'm glad I have them, and I'm glad that we got such a fantastic episode to give them to us.
You must be rid of these weaknesses.
Fight me, I will keep these sad emotions until I die. And if they keep making scripts like this, then I don't think it's going to be very long, because I can't handle this. I know we've been repeating this over and over again, but this episode was just so fantastic, we can't overstate it. So good.
And we've still got one more episode to go.
Yeah.
And, while it's not as good as this one, that's not really going to take anything away from this one.
No, this is a perfect finale, and I'm so glad that this exists.
And I'm glad Moffat ended on a high note.
He did. On that note, we are probably finished talking about this episode, unless you've got something else to say.
Pretty much, we've just been repeating ourselves for the last half hour.
Of course. So we will see you next time for the true final Moffat episode on TV so far, unless he decides to come back.
Please just take your time off. Just don't rush back to us, please.
I would like to see more from Moffat, because he seems like he's got a lot of really good ideas, but just take a break for now. Take a break.
Also, don't give him the lead chair. Just let him write for the show. Just don't let him run it.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Well, hey, he was running this episode and it turned out perfectly.
Yeah.
Perfect finale to what I think is probably the best season of New Who.
I'd say one of, but yeah, it's still a really damn good season.
It's my personal favourite season of New Who so far, and this was my favourite finale, and that is not a coincidence. This was a fantastic episode. We'll see you next week for Twice Upon a Time.
Take care.